So once we have that generalized sense of the gesture or the peanut shape, we have something that has a mass, something that has a direction and breaking points. Now I'm missing the other hand, but I don't think I'm going to really need it much. That's just going to be a shape like this. And I'm ignoring the fingers. So to mass it out, to get it into those cube-like forms, I'm looking for indications of where the rib cage happens, where the top of the shoulders happen. The scapula I'm not too worried about, because what I'm trying to do is get a sense of this dimension here of a box. And the box happens within the form. We're doing these cuboid forms, happens within the form. Right? Where the value changes, like here, this area here is lighter, this area here is darker, so that tells me that this is the edge of that box. Comes down. And now this is the back. And in this case, it just sort of happens to land right in between the shoulder blades. So I'm going to pull this line down and I have that box. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. Across, get a sense of that light or value shift. That indicates a planar shift. Bring that down. And on the bottom, I'm going to look for any sort of indication of the bottom of the rib cage. So once I have one, I can predict the next one. So when I looked at that, I can see that over here. So the box would be like this. The next thing is the pelvis. So in the pelvis, I can see the top of the iliac crest here, following the spine. I'm going to look for the sacrum, and probably something like that. The split of the gluteus, something like this. So that tells me a plane shift. So right above this, go for the top of the iliac crest. Right where the value shifts down, that tells me a plane shift again. So that'll be the top or the bottom section of the box. Right, so I'm following this spine. And sometimes the gesture is a little off, and sometimes that's a bit better than being too precise, so long as it's exaggerated in a way that's going to make the pose look more interesting. Top, follow the sacrum, slightly below that, split, and then right around here, right around here, almost lines up, in this case, with the trochanter, right? And then again, looking for the plane shift on the side. So because I'm looking at more of this side of the leg and less of this side, that tells me that the box is going to be not visible on that side, but visible slightly on this side. And so that's going to be the abstraction of that box. And this boxes should be smaller than the actual body mass. Next is finding the cylindrical forms for the arms. So I ignore these areas here because that's complicated. So I go for the armpit and I make a cylinder. Ignore the elbow. So right before the elbow, right at the break, try to follow the greater perspective. Right, so in this case, that would look something like that. This. That's one. Maybe it's a little wide. So that's the cylinder for the arm. Then Again, on the opposite, the lower section, given the fact that my eye level is somewhere around here, I should be able to see slightly underneath this cylinder. And then at the top, at the wrist, what we want to make is more of a cube type of shape. The wrist is more of a boxy form. The top of the forearm, or towards the elbow, is going to be more of a cylindrical form. You can make it just cylindrical for now if you want to, but it's a good reason to get in the habit of doing that. Because when you put the muscles on, you have the extensors and the flexors, and it's nice to know where the bones are indicated. So same thing at the legs, not at the trochanter, right below at that crease. That gives us a sense of the mass of that. So we have to come down somewhere around here. And now that my eye level is here, I should be able to see on top of anything that's here, right? So on all of this stuff, I should see on top of. On this one, maybe not so much because it's going away from me. So here, I should be able to see on top of this cylindrical form. And at the knee, I want to avoid anything that has to do with knee. So this is knee, so I'm going to avoid that. This is all knee, so I'm going to avoid this. So then my cylindrical form would be right above that area. And ignore the lumps and bumps. Just make a simple cylinder. So avoiding this section there. You want to avoid that lump as well. And then right at the joint, right before it. So in this case, cylinder would be something like that. Here, the cylinder would also be something, should be able to see a little bit more. And then avoid the lumps and bumps, because that's something that form is going to go on top of this and then go past that. So when we look at this, we need to be able to have something to then put the muscles on. And then for the heel, just keep it simple. Kind of a wedge. And that's enough. Don't need to add toes. For this one, the form is shifting a little bit, so it would be something more like this. So I'll do the same thing. Kind of get a sense of the totality of it. Make it a little bit smaller. Again, cut around above the knee. Right at the bottom of the knee. So these are the sections that you want to cut out. And notice how it's thicker at the top, thinner at the bottom. This one, because of the way that it's moving or the direction that it's going, it's probably going to be something more like that. Right? And here, same thing. And then for the foot, going for the heel, this shape here goes into this. And this is going to be the bottom of the foot, so I'm just going to make it into a wedge. And that arm, with the head, keeping it simple, I like to look for the ear. That'll be the side. So this is all side. Top is going to be closer to that. And then the back of the head, right where the light shifts. So right here is light, right here is shadow. So right at that plane change, so I'm going to make the back of the head. And then right at the ear, I want to make that line. So from here, ear's about there. It's tilted back a bit. Chin. And then again, we're gonna ignore this, the joints. And there you have it.